lead together, embrace change, enhance everyone's journey. The 3 core principles of SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate across North America. Reinforce why we're proud to bring you SheEO Lead-In, the podcast featuring curated conversations with powerful women sharing their impactful wisdom. It's a self-knowledge, self-discovery, and self-preneurship audio storage vault created by and for women. SmartStop's presentation of SheEO Lead-In begins right now.
Today we're here with Gretel von Son, the COO of Connect. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. How are you doing?
I'm so excited to have you here today, and I'm doing well, thank you. You know, you've been doing a lot of different things here in San Diego County. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your history, because it really is pretty remarkable how flexible you are in the different careers that you've looked at and, you know, kind of explored. And I really want to hear about how you evolved to where you're at today.
Yeah, I feel super fortunate that I feel like I've taken and touched so many different industries. It started because I got my degree in chemistry and I really wanted to help people. And my way of thinking of that was like, I'm going to be a scientist in the pharmaceutical industry. And so that was my first job. I worked at Ionis Pharmaceuticals for a year, a little bit less than a year here in San Diego in Carlsbad. And it was really such a great experience. My mentor there was so passionate about what he did that really made you want to continue to stay there. But, you know, soon after I was like, well, let me explore another job that came in. You know, I was like too hard to pass up, which was Illumina, another giant here in San Diego. And I tried that for a year too. And they're so different. And I think I'm the type of person that always wants to continue to learn. And not that I ever felt like I learned everything about that company, but I feel like it was always nice to see and try new things. And so at that time, a startup from Boston reached out, and it was on chem and bioinformatics. And it felt like such a good position to try because that specific company talked to so many different biotech and pharmaceutical companies. So I was able to talk to multiple different medtech, med medicine, like all of these different companies that are all science, but they're also very different. So I learned so much. And then I'm just, once again, one of those people that is just willing to try things. So there was a position to work for NAVWAR, which is one of the Navy system commands that is local here in Old Town. And then they have the research arm, Nywick Pacific in Point Loma. And so joined there for a little. There was an opportunity to partner with a local organization, and that ended up being Connect. And so the last 5 years, I have been working with that partnership prior to coming into this role.
So I love that you've tried different things. I tell young people all the time, you know, check out at different careers, because you never know what you're going to be called to do.
Yep.
You never know where you're going to find your passion. And when you really do have that passion for a field, it doesn't honestly feel like work. I know that sounds so cliche, but it really is true.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It is true, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, I grew up, I had a very eclectic upbringing. Very thankful to my mom and my parents because they were just so different and so willing to just let us explore. And so we grew up in a very creative household. Mm-hmm. And I think that always just every day I've always felt like it's really good to learn. And that's really what took me in like the journey that I've been in. It's just really enjoying to learn things and try things. And I felt specifically earlier on in my career, you don't really get to know an industry until you're in it. Yeah. You have all of these ideas when you're in college as to what it's going to look like, and you don't really even know how grand and huge these industries are. So I always felt like I needed to try just a couple more things to really see the whole picture. Not that I have seen the whole picture because it's so big, but I feel like very fortunate that I feel like I can speak to so many little different parts of an industry.
So when you were a little girl, do you have any fun stories that really made sense to where you're at today?
No. I grew up, my dad was an actor, my mom was a dancer. I grew up in the arts. Yeah. Very fortunate to have some really strong cousins that did more on the science side, but that was not even till way later. I think my parents were just do what feels good and, you know, be a good human, do what makes you want to get up in the morning to do more things. And once again, I'm super fortunate to have my mom specifically that kind of led those conversations. But I was always really good with numbers. It was really when I moved to the United States that I didn't speak English, that I fell in love with math and science because it's a universal language. Yeah. There was no this like barrier of understanding what the subject was. And that's kind of what started this journey. It's just really diving into the math and science of it all.
I love that. Yeah. So you moved here how old were you?
Freshman year high school. So 13, 14. Yeah.
Wow. And you speak fluent English, but also fluent Spanish.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very proud. I'm very proud of my culture. So, yeah.
You were sharing your name with us a little bit earlier. I thought it was lovely. Do you mind just repeating that?
Not at all. So, Gretel von Son, but my full name is Gretel Anneliese Fernanda von Son Palacio.
It's so romantic.
Thank you.
I love it. Do you sing or anything or no?
I wish. Okay. You can talk to my husband. My husband beatbox. He's great, and he's so talented musically. He has such a great ear and is one of my biggest pains that I can't express myself musically because I love music. But no, not at all, unfortunately.
I don't have that gift either. Yeah. But I am so grateful for the people that do, definitely. Right. So I have a question for you. One word that you think describes yourself the best.
Caring, maybe passionate. I think those are two good ones.
I was going to say charismatic.
Oh, thank you. I'll take it.
You really are. And oh my gosh, when you're saying your name too.
Thank you.
I love it. So how long have you been at Connect? You said 5 years? Or?
Yeah, a little bit over 5 years. Mm-hmm. So I think this will be my 6th year.
So let's talk a little bit about what a day looks like for you.
Yeah, I think
the same or pretty different?
It's different now. This is the first time I've been in this position, and I feel super fortunate to be here and to work for an organization that really cares about our region and is really creating some incredible impact. I think my day-to-day is definitely very different than what I was doing the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. The last 5 years, I was supporting small businesses and entrepreneurs understand one of the Navy's R&D programs, and it's a non-dilutive program, so it was obviously really great for companies to get to know it. Mm-hmm. Now it's operations, really. So how do I support our organization do the work they can do for our region? And so every day is a little bit different. We are super lucky to have a very small team, but a very impactful team that all really want to drive and help the ecosystem that we support. So every day is great.
So let's talk a little bit about success and failure.
Yeah.
Because kind of the two go hand in hand to some degree. So what does success look like for you?
For me personally, I think helping people. I feel like that's really what fills my cup. I feel like knowing that what I do is helping someone, whether that's my team owner, entrepreneur, someone in my community. I think that is success. That is living a successful life, is knowing that you're making an impact for someone and helping someone. Failure would be the opposite. I feel like feeling lost and like you don't have a purpose, I think, is failure. Not learning. I feel like I'm such a student at heart. I feel like every day you should be able to learn something.
Yes, until the day you die.
Yeah. So
I agree with that. I talk about that a lot.
There's so much, right? Yeah. We're human. We're not perfect. And there's so much to learn. I think that if you ever get to a point where you're not learning is when you really need to change what you're doing day to day, right? So I think that, to me, that seems and feels like failure.
So let's talk a little bit about balance. Work and home. How do you think you're doing on that? How does that feel to you? What do you see that looks like?
I think it's hard. I have a 2-year-old. She just turned 2. And so it is a new space I'm navigating. When I got brought into this role, it was something that I discussed as soon as the offer was put in front of me. My family is the most important thing in my life. And I feel very open about sharing this, but I always tell people there are people that live to work. I work to live. I think my family is the most important thing in my life. There are so many beautiful things in life that I want to experience, and that is outside of work. I get to do some really cool stuff at work too. But prioritizing that time that I do have with my family is very important to me. So for my daughter, she goes to sleep at 7:30. So everyone in my team knows that if I can, I will be taking the few hours before that, from 3:30 to that time. I'm usually not online because I want to spend those hours with her. So I think I'm doing okay. I do think it's hard because you're just so passionate about both.
Yes.
Right? And I think that's what's the hard balance that you need to figure out. And so I think it's like moments, and for, especially for Connect, there's sometimes where we're always really busy, but there's times where it's even more. And so kind of like learning how to balance when there's like the more there versus the less here.
Yeah.
And I'm also very fortunate. I have a wonderful family that is there to support me and my daughter and my husband. So if we ever need support, my mom's there, his parents are there. They're all local. We're all San Diego. So
nice.
Super fortunate that I have that support in that community.
Well, the advice that I can give you about that is there definitely are times where you're going to feel like, oh, I've got it all under control. And then you're going to go, oh, I'm failing. I'm failing. I mean, especially when, the sports come into play and all of that. I mean, or dancing or whatever your daughter is into. I have two kids. My son, who was always like surfing and, wanting to ride his skateboard and all of that. And then my daughter was into soccer, competitive soccer. And then there was like this whole, okay, how do I get to the beach and how do I get to the soccer tournament? And try to balance everything. Yeah. And I mean, it's so tough as a mom, I think. But also managing the expectations of the team. I've always told everyone that works with me, your family's got to be number one, because especially when they're little, those days are never coming back. Mine are now, older. And I look back and I think, I did good. I was there when I needed to be and when I wanted to be. But now I still miss those days so very much.
Yeah, I mean, this is my first, right? But it's something that is so important to me that I think regardless of the role, if it doesn't align with how I want to be there and show up for my family, is not something that I would take on.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has different priorities, right?
Yeah.
So for me, just family is mine. Yeah. So I'm very intentional about that. And I also think that's why community is so important. And this is professional and personal and in all the ways of the world and the word, but specifically for raising a family, being a working mom, being a woman in this world, I think having a community that supports you has helped so much, because it's such a rough experience after having a baby, just about like not even just the
hormones
balancing
it's a lot.
It's a lot. And I think to a certain degree we take it on ourselves to do everything for everyone. At least, for me, I just so care so much.
Yep.
And so you give so much of
unique.
yourself.
Don't ever lose that.
Thank you.
Really.
But it's so hard because then you just so deeply care that it affects you so much more.
Yeah.
And so I feel like you do lose a little bit of yourself, and you're trying to manage, you mentioned like work and personal life, but then how do you manage you time too, right? Yeah. What are you doing that's filling your cup outside of your lovely family and work, right? Yeah. So those things I think have been a journey.
Do you think you ever experience resistance with men and them understanding that?
Oh, yes. So much. And I think it's like personal and professional. Yeah. I think I don't want to generalize. I have some wonderful men in my life, right? But I think it's something that we see a lot. And I think it's also something that I've noticed throughout my career, where even like to just fairness for, employees, but as soon as someone has a kid, they just have a lot more flexibility. Or especially women, it's kind of sometimes the opposite, where then it's like as soon as you have a kid, then you're treated a certain way. Yeah. And so that change has been really interesting to see. I've always seen it as a third party, but never been on that end. And I will say, like, everyone in my life has been super supportive. So I haven't had any negative, but I have seen some of that to other people.
Well, and I think, too, as an energetic, very intentional about what you want to focus on. I think that also, a very strong woman, I think that also can be a little intimidating.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is the conversation that we all know is true, which is like the angry woman, right? And it's something that I've noticed a lot. If you don't put exclamation points in your emails, like, well, what's going on? Why are you upset? And I'm like, I'm not upset. I'm just letting you
To
know.
the point.
You know?
Just, yeah.
So, and it's really interesting to navigate. And we're super fortunate. We have some, like I said, an incredible team, but we do have some young team members that are females. And it's something that I want to make sure that I'm creating this space where they feel the trust that they can ask questions, so they don't have to have these like experiences where they feel like they're not being heard or listened to just because of their gender. And this goes for, male and women, right? Just creating a space that people that are starting out really get to come to any of us that have been around a little bit longer, to ask and say how they feel and how they've been treated. And I think the more we talk about it, the less there will be, because those people will then become leaders later on, right? So.
Yeah, for sure. And then they also grow, though, when they start having conversations with people that are a little bit older, I think. So let's take a quick Smart Stop for our sponsor. We want to hear about SmartStop.
SmartStop knows the winning connection is when we elevate success together. SmartStop Self Storage, a California company with nearly 200 properties and over 15 million square feet of rentable storage in the U.S. and Canada, is committed to positively impacting the communities we serve on the national and local level. By aligning our core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey with local initiatives. To learn more about our core values, our locations, and career opportunities, please visit us at smartstopselfstorage.com.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about mentors, because I think that's also an important thing. You mentioned your family. I think that they probably have something to do with your life too.
Yeah, I think my mom, number one mentor.
Yeah.
Single mom, worked multiple jobs. I think I turned out okay. I think my brother's wonderful, so I think she did a wonderful job. But, back to your other point, to have been a strong woman and having a strong character to ensure, I think I learned so much of that from her. And then my brother, the most hardworking person I know. He took care of me and my mom. It's just...
Sorry, did you say he's older or younger?
He's older.
Okay.
Yeah, and he really stepped in so young to help me. He's my brother, he's my friend. He was a dad figure too. And I think from them, that people first mentality I really learned, where they really care about themselves too, right? But they really care about other people first.
Yeah.
And so I see it with my brother now at work. He's really passionate about making sure that his team gets to a point where, they deserve, they're putting in the hard work. So they've been, I think, them too have been my earliest mentors in all of life on how to navigate it, how to be first a good human, and then second everything else. Yes.
Always a good human. There's no right way to do the wrong thing.
No, as long as you care and you're doing the best you can. And that's something that they, my mom specifically always talked about. Yeah. And then on my professional role, I've been super lucky with some really great bosses and mentors. My earliest one, like I said, my very first job, I think seeing someone so passionate about something just instilled that in me. Like, I was like, I want that. Whenever I get to whatever I need to be, I want to have that passion of just the love that you have for the work you're doing every day. To some of my later mentors that are just very supportive individuals. I think like seeing people just really care, and build a space where people, look, we're all human. We all make mistakes. And them understanding that and just saying it's actually better if we just talk about it, right? Because we can resolve together and it can be a learning experience. So I've been really lucky to see that leadership throughout my career.
I talk a little bit about that. I'm in government. When you think about rules and regulations, it can't be all that. You also have to have care for the community that you're involved in. Right. And I love that you're doing that in your job too, because that's a really important part of, I think, leadership, to have that caring side too. It's not about barking orders and always, like the one with the loudest voice or the one that's the strongest and hardest. It's actually, I think, the best leaders are the ones that bring people together and then also care for them.
Yeah, because then you get to understand.
Yeah.
Right? And I think for what we do at Connect, for example, it's really helping entrepreneurs get to a point that they need to race, or whatever they need to do, and supporting them through that journey with the idea that we're going to ignite our regional innovation ecosystem and local economy. So it's kind of like you help one person and you help another and you help another, right? Yeah. And so it's this chain. But I think for us, is like we just want to help, and it's so important to us. And so for us, it's really important to understand our community and to understand what they need. Yeah. And in order to do that, you need to care.
And you have to listen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so
let's talk a little bit about lessons learned. What do you think the most important things are in being a leader as a woman that you would share with our next generation of leaders?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think take up space would be one of the first ones. And speak up. I think it's so hard, especially when you're starting out, to feel like what you have to say matters, but it does.
Especially when you do your background. If you know your subject matter,
yeah.
I find that easier to actually speak up, because no one's going to share something that you haven't already read if you do
right.
your homework.
Yeah, you can defend it, right?
Yes.
So I think those two I would say, like, to my younger self too, right? Like,
yeah.
just take the space and trust yourself. I'm a big advocate for trusting your gut. I think it's so important to listen to your body. If you're having, if you're tensing up, why? Understand why your body's doing that. And I think those are things you can work on yourself. Like, it's not things that you have to go, right? It's things that you at home can start doing and practicing.
Well, sometimes you have to do things you don't really like. I've had so many people say to me, "Oh my gosh, public speaking, it's the worst. Yeah. It's bad for all of us." Yes, yeah. we all know that. But the first couple of times, it's always a little more difficult. But as you do it more, time goes on and it becomes more natural. It becomes easier. And so, I mean, what do you like some of the things you've done? I always tell people, try things that are a little out of your comfort zone,
that's how you
but
learn.
not like obviously dangerous.
Yeah.
Like jumping, skydiving would be something I would probably consider
Get an instructor.
dangerous. I feel like you would probably do that.
I would. I'm always willing to try things. I agree. I think there's a saying, right? Like, get uncomfortable to grow, or there's something around those.
It's true though. Yeah.
And I think that's important. Once again, going back to like pushing yourself to expand. And I think in terms of practice, like speaking up, you need to practice that. It doesn't come, for a lot of us, it doesn't come naturally to just trust yourself and speak up. And depends on the room, right? Which is another, if you have the ability to create a safe space for people to speak up, do it. Like, that is so important, to hear people's voices. And if you don't have a diverse thought process around you, how really are you going to grow and support those communities and support the work that you're doing, right? Or diversity in thought. So, but practice, yeah. I mean, to your point of like not speak, I don't like speaking publicly, right? But you have to do it because it's so important for people to understand the companies we support, the work that we do, the work that other partners do. And so it's kind of like doing your part to ensure our incredible San Diego ecosystem continues to grow.
So is that your most uncomfortable thing you've had to do at your job, or the public speaking part?
That's one of them. I'm not I think that's even though I grew up with artistic parents, it was definitely never my dream.
Nobody loves it. I actually have talked to one person and they were like, "Yeah, I love public speaking." I went, "How?"
There's some people that don't like it but are so natural at it.
Sure.
And I'm not one of those. But I think practicing, and then I think meeting people that actually want to learn, and I think that makes it easier. Like, you want to know about your company, whatever it is. But that practice piece that you're mentioning, I think it's so key.
So you walk into a room, all these young people that want to hear from you of what you think the most important thing that they should have as a takeaway. What would you say to them?
Takeaway.
Yeah. What would be the takeaway of, you want to be a leader? Let me share with you something I think you really need to know.
Yeah. I mean, I think going back to it, people first. I think it's so important. And I think with that is intentionality. So I think for people to listen to you and to follow you and to then become themselves leaders is to understand the why too. So maybe like a purpose.
Yeah.
So for me, it's very important when you wake up is like, what am I doing for the day? Right. And then it's that purpose that really gets you to continue to give your best. And I don't think you can do much without the support of others. So people really are.
No, you can't do anything without others. I mean, I don't care what your job is. There's just no way. And I think the people that try to live in the silos or work in the silos, they forget everything. And I don't think they become very successful.
Yeah.
Because that team is so important. And, you know, I'll give you an example. Way back when I first started my career, I saw some people that were working in silos. They never really became very successful because they weren't able to depend on others out of sometimes even just their self-will. And the problem is you really do need to depend on others at certain times. It's just natural in any career, I think, where you have to depend on the team to get anything done. And, you know, I think bringing people together is important. One of the things, and I kind of feel like you would feel the same way, but I want to hear your thoughts on this. You know, when people say, oh, you should probably do this, or, oh, you should probably do that. I think that people should be, I mean, you're a very sweet, vivacious, you know, energetic person. I'm sure you've probably had people say, well, you should probably be less whatever.
XYZ.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for us to keep our individuality because that's the part where we're passionate about what we're doing. And I always tell people, just be yourself. Take all of your gifts that you have and just expand on them because that's what makes you special and unique. And so what are your thoughts about all of that? And what has someone ever said to you that maybe you shouldn't do?
Yeah. I mean, I think I agree with you. One of I would say my core values is authenticity. I think for me, the more authentic you are, the more real you are, the more I can trust you because you are who you are, right? And I see you for who you are. And I think to your point, it's so special to understand what people are not just good at, but what they like to do. Because then, you know, as a leader and as a team, then you can really see, okay, who would be the best to do this and is going to enjoy it. And like you said, we're all going to do things we don't want to do. It's part of it, right?
Yes.
But then you can still give people something that they want to do and they're good at and they can hone in on it and develop it. I mean, I think I'm a very frank person. And I think that is something that I've been told that, you know,
maybe you should not be so upfront. But I think at the end of the day, that's one of the beautiful things about people. We need people to be upfront because if you're kind of standing back there hiding what you're trying to say, there can be things that are misconstrued.
1,000%. I think, I think the miscommunication piece is one of the reasons why I feel like it's so important to just say
it like
all of it
is.
respectfully.
Of course, yes.
But I also think to your point of just like a woman that just speaks, say how it is. I think that is another piece of it. It's like rare for some reason. And I don't think so. I have some incredible women in my life and in my professional life and they do it all, you know, like it's not that rare, but I do think it makes some people uncomfortable.
Well, I think being direct is extremely valuable in any conversation. Because then you'd waste less time talking about, you know, beating around the bush. Just say it like it is.
Right.
And of course, you know, back to your point, always respectful, always remembering that, you know, you're not the only person in the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, you obviously have other people involved. And, you know, I think that part is super important to move things forward too. Because when you're being honest and upfront about what you're feeling, I think that's how, when you've got that conversation going, that's when great things happen.
Right.
The good ideas, the collaboration, the, hey, I agree with that. And then you come up with an idea that can propel you forward.
Right. It's that creativity, right? Like that.
Yes.
Allowing the space to just think together.
I call it spitballing, but it's kind of gross. Yeah. But kind of maybe like throwing spaghetti at the wall. Yes, exactly. I think that always works really well when you've got all these people in a room and you're coming up with something that's unique to everyone, you know, with their thoughts together.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? And I'm dying to hear about this. What's up? What's going on with you? Yeah,
I mean, I'm only a few months into this role. So, and I'm really enjoying, I think, one, I love our organization. I love our mission. I love our, you know, I love the companies we serve. Our sponsors are wonderful, our grantors. So I'm in a really great spot. But, I think for me, I've been away from the life size side for a bit. I think Connect definitely touches, you know, half and half. lifestyle and tech. But the last 5 years, I was definitely more tech because I was supporting the Navy.
Yeah.
And so I think I would want to make my way back to the lifestyle side of things. Not as a scientist. I've been away far too long. But I think just in that industry is what I'll...
Well, you still have your creative juices, so you can probably figure out some way to bring that into your everyday, your everyday ideas. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with us. I thought it was really fun getting to know you. I love your energy. It's really, I don't know. I want to say infectious, but I don't know if I like that word. But it's really, I mean, it does definitely bring people together, I think. And I think you really would be someone that can really bring a whole organization into a good space where you're just kind of bouncing things off of each other and ideas. So I like that.
Thank you so much. And thanks for having me. I had so much fun. So thank you.
All right. Thank you.
The incredible curated SheEO conversation you just enjoyed was brought to you by SmartStop, a leader in self-storage real estate and a company that upholds its core principles of leading together, embracing change, and enhancing everyone's journey. To learn more about SmartStop, please visit smartstopselfstorage.com.
Cloudcast Media.